Hello and welcome back to another episode of Homebrew EDH. And this is episode 9, Daghatar the Adamant. He costs 3 and a white for a human warrior with vigilance that enters with 4+1/+1 counters on it. He has an activated ability that you can pay 1 and 2 hybrid Golgari, so green-black, to move a +1/+1 counter from one target creature onto a second target creature. So this puts him in Abzan colors, and I built this deck around +1/+1 counters, creature tokens, and graveyard shenanigans. With that, let's get into the episode. We're going to start with the tokens and how to put counters on stuff. So in this deck, I run Decree of Justice, which makes us angel tokens, Piper the Swarm for rat tokens, Titania, Protector of Argoth, with elemental tokens, Clarion Spirit with spirit tokens, and Herd Baloth with beast tokens. I'll put +1/+1 counters on stuff. I've got, Reap What Is Sown and Abzan Ascendancy, which also helps with things dying, which can lead into our graveyard strategy. We've got cards like Burial Rites, which can bring back a creature directly to the battlefield and has flashback. Ministrant of Obligation and Imperial Oligarch are good cards because they create spirit tokens when they die. When we have creatures enter, we have Corpse Knight. We've got a sack outlet with Priest of Forgotten Gods and Zulaport Cutthroat for all the dies triggers. And what better than Teysa Karlov to buff them all? She is 2 white-black for a Legendary Human Advisors, a 2/4 that reads, if a creature dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent, you control the trigger, it triggers an additional time. And she also reads, creature tokens you control have vigilance and lifelink, which is why I decided to go with the whole tokens sub-theme in a counters deck. After that comes some of the things to buff our creature tokens specifically. We have cards like Dramatic Finale, which is 4 hybrid Orzhov, so any combination of white and black as long as you have 4. That reads, creature tokens you control get +1/+1. And whenever one or more non-token creatures you control dies, create a 2/1 white and black Inkling creature token with flying, but it can trigger only once each turn. And Intangible Virtue. Sorry if that's hard to read. It's kind of... the foiling is weird on that card. It's a 1 and a white for an enchantment that reads creature tokens you control get +1/+1 and have vigilance. With that, we can get into the removal portion because we're in green, black, and white, which kind of excels at board wipes and spot removal. I mean, really, white and black does the most of it. Green is more enchantment based for that kind of thing, but yeah, we're gonna leave it to the white and the black cards to do the job for us this time. With cards like Source of Plowshares, the 1 mana instant, exile target creature, its controller gains life equal to its power. Demystify, 1 mana instant, destroy target enchantment. Got Prismatic Ending, which is going up in value. Get your hands on it now, while it's only a couple bucks. I wonder if it's going to be like Winds of Abandon, the most underrated card in a set, or something like that. Because I opened one, I was like, oh, check this out. It's going to be super underrated, and now it's $4 or $5. So Prismatic Ending is X and a white. Exile target non-land permanent if its mana value is less than or equal to the number of colors of mana spent to cast this spell. We've got Kenthar's Transformation, which is 1 and a green. When it enters, draw a card and elks a creature. Speaking of Winds of Abandon, I have the card in the deck. It's 1 and a white for a sorcery that reads, exile target creature you don't control. For each creature exiled this way, its controller searches their library for a basic land and puts it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffles, or you can overload it for 4 and 2 white. I also have Anguished Unmaking, which is 3 mana for an instant, 1 black-white, or 1 white-black, I suppose, in color order. That reads, exile target non-land permanent, you lose 3 life, and I also run Assassin's Trophy. Green and a black for a instant that reads, destroy target permanent and opponent controls. Its controller searches their library for a basic land card, puts it onto the battlefield, then shuffles their library. And because we have the graveyard sub-theme, I figured I would throw some cards in just of good value, whether it be creatures entering, dying, doing whatever, all the +1/+1 counters as well. And here are some good cards that I decided to put in. Rise of the Dreadmarn can be a potential finisher if somebody wipes a board with enough creatures on it. We have Soul of the Harvest, 6/6 with Trample for 4 and 2 green that reads, whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. We have Woodfall Primus, 5 and 3 green, 8 mana for a 6/6 with Trample. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target non-creature permanent, and it has Persist, so it can get kind of annoying. We've got Arcus Acolyte, which I was super happy to see printed because it made counter decks kind of cool. Because it gives all of your creatures without +1/+1 counters Outlast for a green or a white, which puts a +1/+1 counter on it, but only as a sorcery, which is really nice to have actually. We have Moldervine Reclamation, 3 green, black. For an enchantment, whenever a creature you control dies, you gain a life and draw a card. Herald of Anafenza, which is a 1 mana 1/2 with Outlast for 2 and a white. Whenever you activate that ability, you put a 1/1 white warrior creature token onto the battlefield. I also run Huatli's Raptor and Evolution Sage. When Huatli's Raptor enters, Proliferate, which can buff the counters, and Evolution Sage. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, Proliferate. And last but not least, I do run Dauthi Voidwalker, which is 2 black for a Dauthi Rogue. It's a 3/2 with Shadow, meaning this creature can block or be blocked. Only creatures with Shadow. It reads, if a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, instead exile it with a void counter on it. We can tap it, sacrifice it, and choose an exiled card an opponent owns with a void counter on it. You may play it this turn without paying its mana cost. Super useful for getting those powerhouses out of people's graveyards and using them to our advantage. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Homebrew EDH. If you liked the video, drop a like, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and be sure to leave a comment if you have suggestions for what other decks I should build. And feedback is always appreciated. And I will see you guys next time.